starting with, I've got some notes. Hope you don't want to spoil the tradition or anything, but I figured it might help this 7 minutes go by a little faster. So my name is Nicholas. I'm from upstate New York, a little tourist town called Lake George, which... Yeah, you know. Oh my gosh, I'm really actually surprised. I almost pooped myself. I'm like, but unless you're from New York or Connecticut or Montreal or something. But it's up in the Adirondacks, mountainous, beautiful area. Beautiful land, it's like, you look around like, oh, it's such beautiful land, and then that, that week goes by and it's winter again for 8 months. So you're like, So that's, to set the stage for that. I grew up there. Like I said, it's a tourist town, so it's like 3,000 people live there during the time of year, and for the oh my god it's so hot, the 4 months of the year, it's like 70,000 people live in the town, so it gets a little hectic, and it's kind of like the 70,000 who come in, they're all like, oh, this is beautiful, it's awesome, the weather's so good, and meanwhile everybody who's living there is like, fuck all these tourists, I can't believe it, really man, we gotta sit in traffic for more than 30 seconds, it's like, culture shock coming out here, I'll tell you. But, yeah, it's kind of like the Coney Island North with fewer crack whores, basically, Lake George, Little cheesy, little picturesque, just buy some water, you get that. And, basically, it comes down to the fact that, 8 months a year, frigid wasteland. 4 months a year, overcrowded tourist town. Pretty much the people who live there don't even want to, but for some reason they're sucked into the vortex of that area. There must be a magnetic pole deep in the ground somewhere, keeping people with iron content in their blood. I don't know, from local produce, I can't tell. But somehow I escaped, the orbit pole, and here I am. I live in Venice, California now. Which, yeah. Oh, all right. So I'm moving to, I need Paul. Where are you, Paul? So, similar in Venice, though, you've got the tourists, it's crowded all the time, but especially in the summer, I live on a corner that's about 3 blocks from the beach, you can imagine what that's like. You're like, oh, a nice calm Sunday afternoon, and it's like the fire station's right up the street. Woo! Every 10 seconds, and the dogs upstairs love that thing, and they sing along. It's their favorite song playing all the time. So it's like Wolfman in my living room, every 20 minutes. I didn't know there were that many fires in Venice, California, but apparently there's a pyro problem going on. So, deal with that. I got used to it. It kind of makes me chuckle now. It's good. It's welcoming, It's a little bit of nature, I guess, in this, concrete land we live in. And, back in Lake George, a friend of mine and I, we were 15, 16 years old, Crime rate not really high there, for most things. We got busted for, sharing a bowl in the park, after hours, and cops were like, what? Barney Fife out to us, because it's their summer job, I'm like, you can get a summer job as a police officer? There's got to be some perks to that, but, so, here we are sitting there oops, shit, drop the stuff, oh, kick it, they're on you, they've been watching it for 10 minutes, probably, nowadays it'd be like making a YouTube video for, oh, last show we scared the shit out of these kids, cops, Lake George, alright, not very exciting, but something to do on a, Saturday night. Anyway, so they're like, oh, I'll throw a shrimp in the ocean. And you're like, oh, okay. Oh, and they're like, don't do it ever again. Oh, don't tell my parents, so you go home. And, yeah, luckily my mom doesn't watch YouTube because this ever makes it there. She's like, you did what? And I'm like, no, that was some other guy who's the funny one. And I'm like, anyway. I don't know, it's money on this. But, so basically, out here, I'm like, oh, what is this light show going on? I'm here a couple weeks and it's like, it's 3:30 in the morning, right? And I look out and there's E.T. flying at me. It's these ghetto birds, I've learned they're called. Helicopters, cop helicopters, shining lights, flying around. There's a swarm of them. I'm like, you've been at this for 3 hours. If you haven't caught him yet, I'm guessing he's probably in bed, Give it a rest, Because I gotta get up in 2 hours to go work my shitty coffee house job. And everybody wants their coffee so early. I'm like, fucking hey, I thought California was laid back. Why are you drinking so much coffee? Why so early? I don't know. I had to start taking heroin just to take the nerves down. Luckily, we're in a good area for that. So anyway, another thing we've got in Venice that I'm learning about, it's another parallel, if I may, to upstate New York. where the fashions seem to be crossing over right now. It's kind of interesting. Like, you know, a small little hillbilly redneck town in the mountains, and then you come to the big city and you're by the beach and all the cool fashion and everything that's going on, and everyone's wearing the same shit, you know? I'm like, oh, nice flannel shirt, you know, nice scruffy-ass beard, look at your, you know, gnarly hair, you know, your, like, trucker hat. I'm like, I feel right at home, you know? Until I get up to one of these guys, and I'm like, so, man, what's your deal? How you doing, you know? And, like, definitely a different accent, possibly British, and not, you know, you get a lot of Brits in upstate New York. It's like another country almost, you know. But like, so we're up there or over here, anyway, wherever we are, and I'm talking to this guy. I'm like, so man, that's cool, California, all right, surfing and shit like that. And he's like, yeah, right on, bro. And I'm like, yeah. And all of a sudden, he like gets a little alert from his iPhone, and he's like, oops. And I'm like, iPhone, holy shit, it's not a Nextel, like, you know, a little walkie-talkie guy, probably CB radio maybe. You know, this is different. iPhone, this is modern technology. So this guy like whips out his iPhone, and he's sitting there, and he's like, oh, sorry, man, I gotta run. Gotta go for my mani-pedi appointment. And I'm like, nope, what? Like, is that like an oil change or something? And he's like, no, I gotta go get my finger and toenails done, you know, and my feet pumiced. And I'm like, okay, right on, well, catch you later, Slim. I'll talk to you in a little bit. But it turns out there's like a whole industry built around this lookout here. It's like, you know, scruffy looking dudes that just like hanging out, they got their beard, product all in, and you're like, interesting. There's a nice floral musk around them, you know. I'm like, this is very pleasant actually. I would never put my face anywhere near the balls or feet of a guy like this back home, but out here, you know. So meanwhile, I'm out there, I'm like, alright. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna go get my balls waxed, you know, I'm getting Brazilian. I'm like, what? And I'm like, what do you do for a living, man? By the way, how do you afford this much out-of-house hygiene needs? I'm lucky if I can afford razors, you know? And like, he's like, oh yeah, you know, well I'm an executive for blah blah blah, can't name the company, probably could, no one's watching here, right? But like, so he's like, yeah, I work for this company and I make, you know, like shit tons of money every year. And I'm like, my heart. My mom always told me you have to have a tie and shave and all this stuff, you know, but this guy's out here looking like, you know, like a bridge troll, you know, like I'm expecting him to be sitting under some bridge somewhere, you know, coming up with riddles and, you know, waiting to pounce on unsuspecting billy goats as they go by. So I'm like, maybe I got it all wrong, maybe I should start getting a little, you know, a little wax on there, like it could be the fast track to success, it's a little more aerodynamic. I mean, honestly, like, talking about success, you know, right now it looks like I got Art Garfunkel in a scissor hole down there. And, meanwhile, you know, Paul Simon's like almost totally bald, and he is way more successful right now. So I'm thinking, maybe a little Brazilian scrotum, you know, like, let's go for it. But, yeah, I think I'm about done right now, John. Everybody, thanks. It was great. Have a good time. Thank you.